All right, I am honored to introduce our next panel, Fireside Chat. It is going to be moderated by Andrea Trapani, and she is the managing partner at Identity PR.
Thank you.
The topic is redefining what it means to climb the corporate ladder. So Andrea will be joined by Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, Balanli Williams-Ali, who was the CFO at Mancini Duffy, and Renee Hewer, who was the president of Huge Inc. Midwest. So welcome, panel.
You're moderating, you can put the...
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. What a day this has been. We were just telling Blessing that already the day has been so inspiring to so many of us, and myself in this panel, which is on fire, by the way, already. We're having too much fun chatting backstage. So glad to be here. So honored to be here with these amazing mamas and career women. So today we have already swapped some stories of what leadership and climbing the career ladder today means to us. So we should dive right in and get this started. So Bola, let's start with you. If you could describe your journey of leadership and motherhood in 3 words, talk to us.
First of all, I just want to say a big hello to everyone. Hello. This conference is amazing. I've learned so much, so I'm excited to be here. If I were to describe my journey in 3 words, the first word would be, for me, I'm like a bamboo tree. Do you guys know the Chinese bamboo tree story? It uses years to prepare, and then all of a sudden it shoots up. It takes 6 to 8 years preparing, and all of a sudden shoots up. That has been my year. The second word I'll use to describe is intentionality in terms of parenting, in terms of my career. And then the third word I'll use to describe is, my girlfriend said this, it's like a bulldozer. I see my goal and I go after it. So those are the 3 words I'll use to describe.
Amazing. Hi, Renee. Talk to us. What are your 3 words to describe your journey?
Mine are all 3 together.
Yeah.
Ask forgiveness later. Just go.
Totally.
Do it, apologize later.
I love it. Jocelyn Benson, Secretary of State of the State of Michigan. Welcome.
Yes, hi, thank
Hi.
you. It's really great to be here with all of you today as a mom of a 3-year-old, and really inspired by the work that all of you do every day to really change the narrative of what it means to be a leader and a mother. And I think my 3 are perseverance, innovation, and faith. And because I think, essentially so many times, as you all know, people try to define us or put us in a certain box based on their expectations of us and what we can accomplish. But persevering beyond that, having faith in your own mission and journey and in the contribution you want to make, and innovatively trying to get around the various barriers that are put in place to try to deter us from that goal has marked every decision I've made along my path and to the place where I am today.
That's amazing. Thank you. And I just have to say this because I'm a big person from a leadership side of things, of like saying things you need to say out loud in a public setting. I need to say that my career has been built on so many incredible supportive people. So supported is one of my words. And I have to give a massive shout out to my sister who is here today, who yesterday I left my daughter with her at a field trip and she took her home, and she does that so frequently for me. So I have to say that, as well as my incredible team that I work with every day, the mamas who are here, we support each other every step of the way. So with that, let's talk about how have you stepped into your role as a high-powered career mama without and this has been an interesting dialogue we've been having today, without sacrificing your personal lives, yourselves, your passions. Talk to us about what has been the most important component of that. Bola?
I wasn't sure if we were going to go in order, but that's fine. So I think we're always sacrificing, right? For us to be in the position that we're in as leaders, and having to care for our families, having to care for the causes that are passionate, that are close to our hearts. So for example, for me, I have a nonprofit called She Builds Waves, where I support low-income communities in Nigeria. So that's a passion of mine.
Amazing.
I have 2 kids. So my daughter is 5, my son is 3. I'm also, like she said, the CFO. So I think that there comes a time where you do sacrifice, but for me, I'm sacrificing less on the things that are important to me and focusing more on what is priority in the season that I'm in. And so that has sort of helped me manage the chaos, right? Really taking stock of what deserves my time. And that helps me a lot in terms of, so when I say if I'm sacrificing, it's not sacrificing things that are important. And so that has sort of helped me keep the wheels running.
Renee?
I also sacrifice. I mean, I think any of us sat up here and said we weren't sacrificing something, you would all call us on it. There's a lot of that happens. And I think in the choices I've made in life to have the career path I've taken, those are all compromises I was willing to take to make those sacrifices. I think for me, it really comes down to having a supportive partner, somebody I can lean on that does really pick up his slack at home and does, he's changed his travel, for example, this whole last month because he knows I'm completely overloaded. So he's taken on everything, and it almost like takes a minute for me to like sacrifice and say, or notice the sacrifice and say, I recognize what you're doing, and I appreciate you, so thank you. But he also sacrifices because I have to, so I don't have to, which is makes a good partnership, so we can both go where we're trying to head.
It's interesting because I think just being present is really important, and also just having strength in defining your own, allocating your time, defining that balance. I've been, in our team, our executive team in the Office of the Department of State, by me simply just saying, you know what, I'm going to be 30 minutes behind schedule today because when I dropped off my kid this morning, he was crying, and I know there's all these sort of debates about what you do, but I won't leave him when he's crying. It's just we just talk it out until he's good for me to go. And so sort of like being present always when you're at work, when you're with your kid, but also prioritizing for me, motherhood sets a tone for the entire office, for other mothers throughout. I have 1,600 employees throughout the state of Michigan, and by being the leader to say, I'm going to sometimes choose to be with my son, and we're going to have to adjust accordingly, gives others in our team the freedom to do so as well. And what it's created is a really healthy environment where we're present, where we're balanced, and when we're in the meeting, when we're doing the work, we get it done quickly, efficiently, and move forward.
Yeah, Jocelyn, I think that's an important concept for us just to kind of sit in that space that we talked about prior to walking out here, that we on this panel truly come from a position of privilege as leaders who have a responsibility as leaders and as mothers to set that tone within our organization. So I think that's such a nuanced part of our role and how we can lead by example and offer that same privilege and that same access and that same opportunity to everyone in our organizations. Renee?
Yeah, some of my team members are sitting here, so they'll agree with me when I say this, but I bring my 4 children to the office all of the time. They know which one likes to take the chair and roll up and down the aisle and which one wants a big cup of Swedish fish. And I do that because I have no other choice. Like, I need to go get them. I have to go back to the office because there's a pitch we're working on or a meeting I need to be a part of, and I might put them in front of a screen And that's the best I can do at that point in time. And I have to be kind to myself and not beat myself up over it. And also hope they're not bothering you guys. But also that it makes me happy when I see the other children come to the office, because I know you're bringing your kid because you have to. And honestly, it's kind of like brings a lot of levity to a place where it can sometimes be stressful. You hear a little one laugh. It makes everybody happy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And can I just add to that? And I think it's our responsibility, especially when you get into the positions that we're in, to start making these changes. I've listened to a lot of the conversations, even from the attendees, about the issues they're facing with their bosses. But if I am now in this position, aside my job function, what am I doing to help the other women in the firm? How am I setting the tone? What am I changing in our culture? And am I making space for other women to really thrive? The same thing with me. So I work for an architectural firm, and we have a design lab, and my kids like to come in because there's VR, and they're in there running in the office. This is a serious office, but they come in there, and then the firm and others, right? Other employees who are who are just starting out their careers see that it's possible. My partners are male, right? They also have kids, so that helps. They understand where we're at in this toddler world. You guys know the toddler. Yeah, it's a madhouse. But it's so important that we take responsibility in changing these things, right? The people who are setting policies, it's us. It's human beings. It's not a corporation. There are people behind these, and we really need to take that responsibility of changing the narrative.
Yeah, absolutely. So today's dialogue has already been, so inspiring. I've learned a lot. And the conversation of being comfortable in that motherhood is tough, and you pile on a tough job, a relentless job in many cases. So let's talk a little bit about what personal challenges you've overcome to step into a leadership role.
I mean, I think it gets back to, especially as a public figure, not allowing anyone else to define you and how you choose to prioritize your day, and also showing the value. So, for example, to share an anecdote. Before I became Secretary of State, I ran a national nonprofit in sports, which, by the way, as someone who's worked, I was the dean of a law school. I'm a elected official now, but if you ever, I don't know if anyone here works in sports, but it was sort of the most challenging environment I've ever experienced as a female leader. And I had a 2-month-old when I took the job. So I go to the Miami Dolphins locker room and I'm pumping, because that's the way it's going to be, guys, today. And, find me a place. And so, but redefining norms and just being unapologetic about it is the only way we're going to change things, so that we have an environment where every woman has an opportunity to succeed as themselves, as authentic leaders. And so I think being really brazen about it and confident about it and secure in decisions to just say, again, today I'm going to prioritize my kid, or today I'm going to, I have to, find this time to nurse, and you're just going to have to wait 20 minutes or what. But not allowing others to define what you're capable of and what your balance should be, but defining that for yourself. And in doing that, giving others freedom to make the same decisions. So I think that's been both a challenge to sort of be comfortable with that, be comfortable with making others uncomfortable at times, because we can't hide from our truth, nor should we. And I think as mothers, as leaders in our own household, especially those, well, for me, I have a young boy, that's also important, as we all know, for them to see what it actually takes for women to lead, and both the sacrifices, the challenges, and the confidence to chart your own path.
Yeah, I'd like to build on that with sort of my 3 words, which is ask forgiveness later. I really do believe in that if we don't, if you're stuck in something that doesn't feel right for you, a job that you just don't feel like you're getting what you need to get out of it at that point in time, you should make a change. You're responsible for that. If you're at a company that you don't feel like is supporting the things that you need as an individual, you need to say something. You have to push for what's right for you as an individual and ask for forgiveness later. So at Huge, we have what we call infinity groups. They're they're led by employees, and the intent is to increase inclusivity across the company. We have a group that supports parents specifically, which all of these lovely women help lead. And I hope coming out of this today that you guys will all take away something and that we can have a conversation about how to be even more inclusive and how can we apply that to our global company. Like we've got 1,400 people globally. How can we make not only the Detroit office better, but our whole company better and thereby hopefully other companies to follow our lead.
Yeah, so even with the conversations around policy and changes in organizations, so many women, and probably many of the amazing mamas here today, are struggling with wanting to climb the corporate ladder, but are often hobbled by thinking that it could take away from their families or their personal lives or their passions. What advice would you give for those mamas who feel that way?
So before I took, and I think examples are good so that you guys can really connect to what we're sharing or the advice that we're sharing. But before I took my role, I had worked 10 years in the architectural industry, and right from the very first meeting when I was interviewing, I pretty much laid it down on the line. I said, we can all do our work. Women are showing up and they're doing their jobs, but what is your value when it comes to family? What does a company, do you guys value family? I'm like, I have a 3-year-old. At that time, my daughter was 3 and my son was 1. I laid it down on the line. I said, I don't get to drop my kids off at daycare. Are you flexible on time? I made sure that as I was making this move, they were really my company tribe. So my advice would be and again, it goes to the conversation about being uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to find your tribe. And it might mean you have to have this difficult conversation. Of course, you check what season you're in, whether you can afford to say this, but I had it straight from the door, so that once I got in, there was no concerns, questions, and I also showed up in terms of my own job function, right? My role, I performed. So if I have to be here at a conference where I'm getting enriched so that I can go back to my work and thrive there's no questions.
Anything else on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just believing in yourself and knowing that other people are looking to you as a mother. No matter what position you are in your career, there are others who are watching you and learning from your example. So you have a responsibility not just to your kids, but also to them, to other women who are looking to you and seeing how you make decisions to lead and be bold and to help create an environment, a work environment, or push for a work environment where you can be your full self as a mother, as a member of a family, and as a leader within your organization. To me, I think, and I found that, I remember coming into this and being a mother, becoming a mother. I was the dean of a law school at the time. I was a young dean, and so there are all these presumptions of sort of, being a young woman running a law school. And then you become pregnant, and they've never had a dean that was pregnant before, because truly. And so, but the only way you can redefine what people think women and mothers are capable of is by showing them what you're capable of, and not allowing anyone else to tell you you're not able to do something because. And to me, that's been a critical component of every decision I've made, to just, when people tell you no, you tell them yes, and this is why. And then you do it. You show up, you do the work, be excellent, achieve and overachieve and set your metrics for success and meet and exceed them, and find the way and balance to do that, and show your spouse, your partner, your kid, that it is possible to both lead and be present for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a greater responsibility and kind of how that frames every aspect of our lives. I just need to add this. I feel like there needs to be a conversation point and this has been fundamentally like a life-changing turning point for me this year, is to admitting that I love what I do, and that is okay as a mother, because it is such a fundamental part of my DNA, and I love, love, love the work that we do, the team that we have, and it's who I am. And I feel like in the early days of motherhood for me, I almost felt bad for a moment in time, even though I had children kind of later in my career. The fact that it is okay to be killer at your job and love everything that it's about and be an amazing mom as well.
And it's good for your kids as well to
Yes.
see that. I mean, I had this moment. I remember 4 a.m. I was nursing like a 2-month-old, and I was taking this new job in sports and getting all these texts because in sports everyone tries to show how like they're up at 4 too and doing work, and so but I was like just feeling that pressure to be like present as a mom and worried that if I would be traveling a lot or whatever for my new role that I wouldn't be a good mom. And I actually read this blog as I was up sort of in between doing work and nursing that it basically said like, yes, it does mean you might not be leading your organization, climbing the corporate ladder. It may mean that you have to lean on others to take your kid to daycare and to meet all of the responsibilities of being a parent. But it shows them, your kid, what success requires, which is sacrifice, which is balance, which is sharing the load, finding partners to help share the parental load with you. And that's such a good lesson for your kids to know that, yeah, you may not always be there for every event and always present, but at the same time, they learn through you what it takes to succeed in whatever they want to accomplish.
I had a lot of mom guilt. You know, I had twins first, so sort of like, ta-da, it's motherhood times 2. And I kind of rethought everything. Like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be at this job? I'm running an office. Like, I'm leading people, but they're looking to me of what being a mom in an office looks like. And it took me, like, through my career to be in a couple of dud jobs, like the places where I'm like, okay, I definitely know I don't want that, and I definitely don't want that. And then it also took, you know, after I had the twins and after my next guy, to be like, maybe I do want to be home. And I worked from home for a while. I actually took some time off. I consulted a little bit while I was away. And it was during that time where I was like, okay, this is another thing that I've tried. And I realized that, like, I am a much happier human if I'm at office with people that are creative and we're making things together. That is more fulfilling to me than being home with my children all day. And so it was a decision I made, but I felt very confident in that decision because I felt like I tried everything I could to be confident in what I decided.
That's amazing perspective. Let's turn it over to our audience to ask some questions. Anyone? Oh, there's one.
Hi, this question is for Renee. So we talked before. I'm Melly Lawrence. I work for BSF, the chemical company that Blessing works for. And I actually was going to ask you when I heard you had 4 kids how you managed to return to work, and I didn't realize your first 2 kids were twins because my first 2 kids are twins, and they're 23 months old, and my return to work was very, very difficult, and now I'm fearing like the next round. So I was just wondering, how did you manage that?
I was lucky enough to have a nanny, and actually that was very hard for me to hire someone who's coming into my house, who's going to be alone with my 2 children I just grew in my belly for 9 months. And I have to trust her that she's going to do everything the way I would do it or better, and that they wouldn't love her more than they loved me, and like all the little struggles I had with that. And I had to just like kind of, it was hard. I mean, I definitely cried. I kind of had to push it down a little bit. And I do this with all of our new employees too. Like, I always start with trust with someone new, someone I'm meeting. I trust you. You can either erode that trust or you can build on that trust. And so I started with trust with her, and I gave her the faith I needed to get through my day. And over time, I fell in love with her. The boys fell in love with her, and it made it much easier to go to work every day, not the kids crying at the door when I'm closing the door and like, Mama. You know, that was hard every single day. That never went away, but at least I felt confident they were well cared for.
So maybe that I think is fabulous. Maybe I should have been more specific, but the question about the return for work was hard to me, not the home part. Okay. It was the perception that I have twins. I had some people, women, say to me, well, now your priorities have changed. And I had a big conflict with my team. I had to ultimately involve HR. So did you pay the mom penalty at all? Or
like people thought your hands were too full?
Yeah, because you're a twin mom, not just one, but 2. Or, I mean, I know moms of singletons probably also experience the same thing.
Yeah, not so much at work, but I think I was in a different place in my career. I was running the office, so I came back and it was sort of like, this is what it is. I've got these 2 babies. But I think I got that in other areas of my life, and I still do. Like, just because I have 4 children doesn't mean I'm less focused in my job, or that my life is busier than yours. It's all relative. Your life is just as busy as mine, no matter how many children you have. But I'm sorry that happened to you at work.
So I think my question is, you guys talk about confidence, and that, when you have confidence, you're able to redefine the norms and pave your way. And I think with confidence, with a lot of women in here, it's like, how do you build that confidence if you don't come from parents who build that for you, or you don't have that community? How do you build that confidence to where you're like, yeah, I can fucking do this shit? Like, how do you get to that point, So it's like, I see you guys all stand there. You guys are fierceful, and you guys are moving. You guys are bulldozer. But it's like, can you share some tips of how do you get there?
You have to make a choice to just do it. I mean, we're all afraid at different points. The fear doesn't go away when you choose to be confident. But you just have to be courageous and push through it and recognize your power, like your agency as a mother created life. And as a partner, a team member in your company, you were chosen to be there. And no one else defines what you're able to contribute. They'll try. They'll say you can't contribute this because of whatever, and it's not always just going to be because you're a mom. It's going to be because various other perceptions too. And I think, to me, critical to success is not allowing others to define what you're capable of doing, even though they will always try to do that. And so confidence to me is just saying, sort of the question of forgiveness for kind of being yourself. And I just think you just go. The bulldozer is, to me, like the great analogy. Just do. And know that in being confident in doing, that you're not alone. You're never alone. Because there are always people, one, that you can find to support you as a bulldozer. But at the same time, what I have found is sort of when you take that leap and you just move forward anyway, it is scary, it is isolating, it is lonely. But actually, because so many other people who will get confidence from you being confident, you actually can create a community of strength by being honest, by being open about your fears, but by choosing to move forward anyway. But it's that choice to be confident and strength to do it and overcome your fears and be courageous. That's this decision only you can make.
Yeah, I think that's huge. One tip that we often talk about is to build confidence. It's like a muscle. You've got to work all the time, right? And to do that, I mean, look, no one is great at everything within their career. But I often say, pick a thing. Pick a small thing that you can work to be the expert in. And from there, once you know, I've got this, I could talk about this all day long, I kill this, I'm the person in my office that people come to, it allows you to build that confidence muscle. And so that may be a good place to start on the journey of then building leadership, confidence, and all the things that come with that.
Now, I'm sorry, we're 5 minutes over, but this discussion is so juicy. It needs to continue because, so I'll tell you, I'm not millennial generation, I'm Gen X, I'm 53 and my son's 34. And so listening to all of these comments, it's just so what is needed in corporate America, this bulldozer approach and this whole thing of being comfortable with making people uncomfortable. I spent so much of my time trying to make people feel comfortable. And this next panel, we're going to be talking about family-friendly workplaces. And, maybe we need to vote with our feet and go to companies that want us and value us, and these companies that don't accept the value that you all have to bring, they're not going to survive. So I just had to add that and thank the panel, and it's a juicy topic that needs to continue.